This is Pakistan's latest crush. In the past few weeks, Air Vice Marshal Aurangzeb Ahmed has become the most Googled and most memed person in the country.
I'll pick up from where I left. PAF versus IF, 6-0.
Ahmed made a name for himself, delivering military briefings during Pakistan's confrontation with India this month.
You need a hero. I think partly that's the appeal, right? And when you lose wars or you want public support, you need dead heroes, because that's kind of makes people, come to your side and sympathy and support. But when it's a righteous war where you've been attacked and you're defending yourself, you need living heroes, right? So he kind of ticks all that criteria. Social media is also very much about visuals, who's good looking, who has swag, and who you can make memes about. So we see similar stuff happening around Aurangzeb Ahmed.
Pakistan's military is riding high on a wave of popularity after coming close to all-out war with India. The trigger for the violence was the killing of 26 civilians in Indian-administered Kashmir at the end of April. India accused the Pakistani state, specifically the military, of sponsoring the attack.
Pakistani and Pakistan-trained terrorists belonging to the Lashkar-e-Taiba carried out a savage attack.
For decades, Pakistan has been accused of training and funding militias operating on the Indian side of Kashmir. As recently as April, the country's defense minister was challenged on this point and didn't deny it.
You do admit, sir, that Pakistan has had a long history of backing and supporting and training and funding these terrorist organizations.
Well, we have been doing this dirty work for the United States for about 3 decades,
This time, Pakistani officials demanded proof from New Delhi for its accusations. They asked that an international inquiry be set up. India dismissed them and launched what it called a retaliatory military operation instead.
So as they say, never let a good crisis go to waste. And the Pakistani military really took that on. Within 2 weeks of a bullying, assertive India giving them a war, which they pushed back against and gave India a bloody nose for, has made them now all of a sudden the darlings of Pakistan. That is a signal to the military that if you do that one job that you're constitutionally bound to do, then the people of Pakistan will be behind you. Not only did they do their job when it came down to it, but also they brilliantly used the best methods possible for social, digital, and mainstream media.
Messaging is always important, right? What boosts the morale of your forces, morale of the citizens, etc. And we've seen plenty of that in Pakistan during these last few days. It's not the first time that we've seen, music videos. Obviously, you want like an anthem, something to get behind.
The Pakistani military has a media wing primed to capitalize on moments like this. Aside from making music videos, the Inter-Services Public Relations Department, or ISPR, has also made a documentary on the attack in Kashmir. The head of the ISPR, the military's main spokesman, has been sitting down for interviews with international news outlets.
Our message is clear. We are for peace, but if any violations occurred, any aggression is made against Pakistan, and then our response will be very assured, will be swift, it will be improved.
As tensions escalated between the neighboring countries, Pakistan lifted a block on X that had been in place for more than a year, giving a boost to citizens who produced a wave of memes championing the armed forces. Pakistani cities have been covered in posters supporting the military, and the outpouring of positivity has changed the Pakistani establishment's standing in the country.
So if you look back at the last few years of the military's record vis-a-vis the people of Pakistan, this is how a failing state would perform, theoretically. 2 insurgencies in 2 of the western provinces, a very popular man ousted, 10,000 people arrested, many of them being tried in military courts. the country's best and brightest journalists killed, abducted, kidnapped. They're involved in politics, they're involved in banking, they're involved in the economy, and they're involved in the judiciary.
In countries where militaries have had a de facto role in politics and in economic enterprise, as in the case of Pakistani military, the relationship between the military and citizenry becomes much more complicated. However, 2 years ago, around the time of Imran Khan's ouster, there was an unprecedented fall from grace when it comes to the military.
I think in this particular moment, the Pakistani military felt it was not popular. It had jailed the most popular man in Pakistan, Imran Khan, who was prime minister, for taking on the Pakistani military.
Part of the reason why the Imran Khan ouster became such a significant flashpoint in terms of sentiment towards the military is because Imran Khan came into politics through popular military support as well. So when that fell apart, because it came through military engineering, there was much more challenge. So it felt like a moment of reckoning in Pakistan where people were beginning to openly challenge and question the role of the military.
The Pakistani military's popularity was at a record low. During riots back in 2023, Pakistanis stormed multiple army and intelligence facilities across the country. The uprising was crushed, but public anger remained. The face-off with India has delivered an unexpected sea change in sentiment. This past week, Army Chief General Asim Munir was rewarded for spearheading Pakistan's fight back. He was given the ceremonial title of Field Marshal.
हुकूमत ने आर्मी चीफ जनरल सैयद आसिम मुनीर को फील्ड मार्शल के ओहदे पर तरक्की दे दी.
However, amidst this moment of national jubilation, many Pakistanis cannot shake a sense of fear and concern.
Already there is this discussion around what this means for Pakistan going forward. The Pakistan military already takes up a lot of civilian space in terms of control over civilian institutions, interference in foreign policy, in the country's economy. Pakistan is an incredibly poor country. We have severe economic woes. Also, the defense budgets historically increases every year. But there is some pushback on that, right? And the Pakistan military has to justify it. It nearly always wins, but it has to justify it. I can't imagine there'll be much pushback right now. And that's kind of, I think, a sad thing to happen to a country which is really struggling.
You don't want Pakistan to become an even more militarized, unaccountable state. And those are some of the conversations that are happening right now, that in glorifying in a complete blanket manner, you can't turn away from some of the realities and the baggage that comes with the military here.
And finally, while the Pakistani military reaps the probably temporary rewards of its messaging campaign over what happened in Kashmir and thereafter, New Delhi has announced its own belated strategy to get its narrative out. The Modi government has tasked nearly 60 members of parliament with fanning out across the globe to pitch India's side of this story to governments, news outlets, and the Indian diaspora, the world's largest. India's geopolitical case was not helped, however, by some hyper-nationalistic output from its TV news channels, content that ranged from the comical to the dangerous and attracted a lot of damaging publicity overseas. So while the military conflict has eased off, the battle for hearts and minds is still being waged between India and Pakistan. We'll be tracking that story, and we'll see you next time here at The Listening Post.